All right, I'll call the meeting to order. Meeting of the Carver Select Board for Wednesday, June 18th. This meeting is being cablecast by Area 58 Community Access Media, Channel 15, and will be posted by Area 58 on YouTube as soon as possible. There are openings on several committees. Please refer to the Select Board page on our website for a listing and application. If we could all stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our community prayer. Almighty God, humbly we pray your blessing as we concern our life with the opportunity to serve our community. Enhance us with your spirit of dignity and selflessness. May we become instruments of support and understanding as we seek to bring an environment of trust and purpose among all who provide the many services that make us all that we can become. Help us achieve the goals of our commitment in this office that is now our responsibility. And especially, we lift our prayers to all the citizens of our community that we have been allowed to serve, that they may discover the fullness and joy of life that we all seek, and keep those serving in our armed forces and our first responders in our hearts and thoughts. Amen. All right. The first quick item on our agenda this morning is just the approval of the minutes of May 19th. Remember, there was an issue at the last meeting, so we put them off until now. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Oh, I did send Elaine amendments last night. I don't know that she got them out to you. I'm not sure, because I did have to go back and watch a fair amount of the meeting because whole questions were missed, so I don't think they got out to you, so they may have to wait until next time.
Well, so this is the third meeting that we've entertained those minutes, and the next meeting will be beyond 30 days. So Massachusetts law requires that we act on those minutes at tonight's meeting. That's why I made that discussion at the last meeting. Mr. Fennessy, can there be a motion to not approve the minutes? Does that fulfill our requirement?
Yeah, I would suggest make a motion to approve the minutes and then vote it down.
Okay.
Do you have a...
So, yeah. Just to clarify, Mr. Chair, has it been 3 meetings since the meeting at issue, or is this the third meeting including that meeting?
This is the third.
I believe this is the third meeting.
So the meeting at issue and then 3 meetings? Mm-hmm. All right, so you do have to approve those minutes tonight. What I would suggest is that you vote to approve them, and then you can always amend them at a subsequent meeting.
Okay. That makes sense. All right.
Is it a problem knowing that they are wrong? Like, to vote to approve them is knowingly wrong. Like, there are questions, it's from the TA interviews,
Yep.
and there are questions missing. Like, it's wrong.
So is it wrong or incomplete?
Well, wrong, because some questions are written incorrectly on there, and some are missing, and some questions are written incorrectly, so it's both.
So, I mean, if you're not satisfied then with the way that the minutes are prepared, then I would suggest just voting them down and having it on your next agenda again. You know, the open meeting law requires that they be approved within a reasonable time, and the AG's office says, you know, within 3 meetings or 30 days, whichever is longer. But I think here, you know, you have a good faith basis to extend that period of time.
Okay.
And, you know, rather than haphazardly approve something that you don't believe accurately reflects what happened at the meeting, the better practice would be to simply, you know, not approve them at this meeting.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor? All against?
Aye.
All right. The motion fails. All right. Thank you. All right. So at the last meeting, the issue of some fee increases from Copeland and Page came up. We approved those fee increases, but that led to some discussion among the board, and I thought that would be a good reason to ask our counsel to come in and discuss them. So, Mr. Corvo and Mr. Zessen, we appreciate you taking some time this evening to come in and join us. And why don't I turn it over to you, just give a quick overview, and then we can open it up to questions from the board, if that's okay.
Great, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, and to members of the board. First off, thank you very much for having us here this evening. We appreciate your time, and we always appreciate having the opportunity to meet with you and talk through any questions or issues that you might have. Just by way of some background, you all know who I am. I'm Greg Corbo, and this is Tim Zessen. We're both shareholders with the firm. I've been with the firm for more than 20 years at this point. And as a firm, we've been representing Carver for more than 20 years. I started in 1998, and I think we were representing Carver at that time. And I have been your primary contact attorney since approximately 2006. And as your primary contact attorney, I've attended pretty much every town meeting that has happened between now and then. And in that time, I've gotten to know a lot of people here in Carver. I consider many people here in Carver to be friends of mine. I look forward to going to town meeting and see all the faces I know and all the people that I've worked with. But that being said, we are a business, and like everybody else, times are difficult for us. We had to take a step back and really look at our rates and figure out, how we were going to, make ends meet at this point. And while we try very hard to keep the rates as low as possible, and our rates are certainly significantly lower than the counterparts in the private sector that are often sitting across the table from us, we did find that a rate increase was necessary at this time. And just to put the amount of increase in perspective, I was able to go back as far as fiscal year 2000. And in fiscal year 2000, our hourly rate was $120 per hour. The proposed increase for fiscal year 2023 is $225 an hour. So it's approximately a $100 increase over a period of more than 20 years. And there was a significant period of time between 2009 and 2015 where we didn't raise rates at all. So, we do try very hard to be as economical as possible. But in order to be able to continue to provide the high level of service that we've been providing to you, we felt that an increase was necessary at this time. And, we're hopeful that this is an increase that you can absorb within your budget and that you find is worthy of the service that you're receiving. So Tim, I don't know if you wanted to.
Yeah, so just to piggyback on what Attorney Corbo said, I've been with the firm for I think 11 years now, and I've worked with the town, I think for 9 of those years. I've worked with several different members of the board, I believe three town administrators. I think I've developed pretty strong relationships with everyone here and the town officials. And frankly, it's been a pleasure and an honor to work with everybody. I think I don't want to speak for Greg, but we pride ourselves in the work that we do for the town and how responsive we are and how professional we are in providing responses. We know what we're proposing. It's more money for the town. Town has a limited budget. We understand that, and that's why a lot of thought and consideration goes into this. This is something we do not often. And so we're very careful and conscientious about it. But I just wanted to say that I've enjoyed working with everyone here, and it's been an interesting several years. But every time I talk with one of you on the phone or exchange emails, I think we have a very respectful, professional relationship, and we, Greg and I both enjoy it. So.
Okay. Thank you. And just a couple of items that we discussed at our last meeting that I think maybe could use a little clarification from you two before we get into general discussions. So the first one is the rate increase, the special rate increase from general zoning bylaw revisions. That's not for town meeting work or things like that that we send up to you, correct? That's for more rewriting zoning bylaws or more specialized work. Am I correct there, or?
Yes, that's correct, Mr. Chair, and perhaps this could have been written in a more clear way. So what this bullet point is talking about is there have been communities that sort of take a look at their zoning bylaw as a whole and say, wow, this is really out of date. We need to just update the whole thing. We want to rewrite the entire zoning bylaw, or we want to rewrite our entire general bylaws, or both. And that's something that is a substantial undertaking. There are companies out there that do it that charge substantially higher than what we're proposing here. But it's very specialized and time-consuming and laborious work. And so we felt that that was worthy of a special rate category, because it is a special category of work. What is not included within that are the year-to-year zoning bylaw changes that you consider at the town meeting. So, this past year, and what did you have, like 10 zoning bylaw amendments? All of that would still be subject to the usual town council rate. And so we would work with you to develop those bylaw changes, to review them, to get them onto the town meeting warrant, to discuss them at town meeting, and to help you implement them, all within the usual rates. It would only be in the highly unusual circumstance where you say to us, we want to start from scratch and rewrite the whole thing, that this would then fall into the special rate category.
So, Mr. Chair, just a point of interest. The last time we did what Mr. Carver is talking about was 1998. Probably won't have to do that again for a very long time.
Probably not. And just, could you expand a little bit on the first bullet point, the permit matters? Because a lot of those, if I'm correct, they're reimbursed by third parties. The town is reimbursed for those. I think a lot of them, that's the way it works. So
Well, that's correct. And so, first of all, when we say comprehensive permit matters, we're talking about matters that come in under Chapter 40B. So we're not talking about, if there's a special permit hearing or a zoning board variance hearing.
You're
or
talking about a 40B proposal.
Exactly, a
Okay.
40B proposal. And those are matters in which there is an opportunity for reimbursement to the town by the developer. And in that case, then we thought it was fair that there be a higher rate for that, because the developer is paying their attorney 2, maybe 3 times what you're paying us. And if they're going to incur that expense, then we felt like the playing field should be a little bit more leveled in that respect. But again, these are matters that are very few and far between. I don't remember the last time Carver had a 40B.
2006.
2006. But, all the other types of permitting, even, if it's a liquor license hearing before this board, or a Title V matter in front of the Board of Health, that's all at the regular town council rate.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, I just wanted to make sure Mr. Cotter is aware of the 40B, what that means.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry.
40B,
Beg your
yep.
pardon.
All right, thank you. I just wanted those came up at the last meeting, so I wanted to make sure we clarified those. Are there questions from the board for council?
Well, I think you talked about the different price between 2000 and 2023, but when was is that when the last price increase?
No. So the last price increase was, last year, it went from $195 to $205.
On which one? Which for general services?
Yes.
And now it's going to?
225.
205 to 225.
All right, so I guess, when do your prices increase? Is it something where it remains stagnant for a period of time, and now because of the economic conditions over the past couple of years, you increase your prices?
So over the past few years, we've been, trying to get into more of a pattern of raising increases on an annual basis, so that there could be more predictability as to what the rates could be. And, what happened this year was that, with the way that the economy has been going over the past few months, we realized that the traditional increase was not going to be sufficient for the firm to be able to cover its expenses. And this is an increase that is across the board. We're giving the same increase to essentially all of the clients. And, the goal is to ultimately get to a point where, everyone is being charged the same rate, and everybody is having increases that happen at the same amount at the same time, but it's going to take time to get there. So for this particular year, based on what's been happening over the past few months, we felt that the $20 an hour increase was necessary.
And do you have any kind of breakdown on, the current cases that I know we can't talk about them, but the categories of cases we have right now and how they fall into these categories? And then secondly, would you be finishing up the cases at the old rate and then a new cases in that category at the new rate? Or is it just as of July 1 new rate?
So if we look at the categories in the bulleted sections, other than maybe cable television, I don't think you have anything that fits into those special categories. So everything else would be at the $225 hourly rate, and that rate will go into effect for all work that is done on and after July 1st.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Carter?
No.
Anyone else? Okay. Mr. Fennessy?
Yeah, so can you draft and send a new letter that explains everything that you just said? Okay, so that when because these board members may not be here in 2 years. Hopefully they will be, but you never know. So we'll have it in the office, exactly what these refer to, because this letter is so vague on that.
Yeah.
That it caused all this concern amongst the board, amongst, when I read it. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing is timing. We already have our budget set for fiscal '23, and we get this after the fact.
I understand that. And, this was something that we engaged in a lot of hand-wringing over. And, I think that when we went into the calendar year, we were expecting one thing, and something very different happened with the economy. And, everyone knows it's been getting worse and worse and worse. And, while I don't want to say that we delayed, I think there was, a certain sort of, hesitance to go this route. But, once we realized that we really would have no other choice, then we felt that we had to go forward. And, we do understand, the predicament that puts you in, and certainly we're going to work with you as the year goes on to make sure that, we stay within budget as much as possible.
Okay.
Can I just throw it out? Something that just kind of, I don't know, rubbed me the wrong way. When you were talking about the comprehensive general and zoning bylaw and kind of explaining why that's more expensive and saying that when you're doing something all-encompassing, it's really laborious, and that is why it's a higher rate. I don't know, even when you're doing something at the 225 rate, I don't see why that would be less laborious. It kind of makes it seem that when we're reaching out to you for something at that less rate, that it's easier or less important. Maybe it's just the semantics at which you said it, but it was like so comprehensive. It almost made it seem like it's more important, more laborious. It's harder. I just didn't like the way that it came across. It makes it seem like the easy stuff is cheaper and the harder stuff is more expensive. It just kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Well, and I'm sorry if I gave you that impression. That is certainly not what I meant. And in fact, I think that, most of what we do under the general town council rate is probably legally more complex than completely rewriting the zoning bylaws. So when I say that it's more laborious, it's that it's a project that someone has to dedicate a significant amount of time to, that then takes away their ability to do some other work. And it's something that is so unique and out of the ordinary that you would likely have a special appropriation for something like that. And so it's a different type of work, and it takes away from our other general town council responsibilities, so we thought it should be within a category to itself.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to add, having been there when we were faced with a hostile 40B, we really wanted somebody to be there like every second because it can be frightening. We want affordable housing, but we don't necessarily want a hostile environment where all the boards, zoning board has to be everybody, and you really need someone paying very close attention.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Anything else?
I have one more.
Mr. Fennessy.
Chair. So can you tell us what's included in your services to us that does not generate legal fees?
Yes. So what we typically include as part of our services are, once a year I will come out and give a litigation status update, which I did a few weeks ago. We offer one training seminar per year on a topic of your choice. It could be on something like open meeting law, public records, how to conduct a public hearing, and I think we've got like a whole list of trainings that we
There's some
offer.
other labor and employment matters that we can offer as well.
Okay. And then, on a less formal basis, we try to keep you apprised of any changes in the law that affect municipalities generally. And we call them e-updates now. And, we have a listserv, and we send them around to everyone. We publish them on our website. And so that's something that you are able to take advantage of, that we do not charge you for directly.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? Mr. Hoffman, did you have?
No, that's it.
Anyone? Before we adjourn this agenda item and head to executive session, does anyone else have anything for our attorneys? All right. At that point then, gentlemen, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming by this evening.
Thank you. It was nice to see you all.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks.
And at this point, I would entertain a motion to go into executive session in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 21(3), to discuss strategy with respect to contract negotiations with the town administrator that may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the town if held in open session, and not to return to open session.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Bogart?
Jen Bogart, aye.
John Carter, aye.
Mark Townsend says aye.
Sarah Hewen says aye.
Jim Hoffman says aye.
All right. We are adjourned to executive session. Thank you very much, Area 58.